At the end of the day, when human remains are discovered, they can be identified by bone structure. They don't look at male bones and say, I wonder if this person identified as a female. This is crazy.
I'm not arguing with biology. I'm just saying everyone matters. Like everyone, poly people matter. Any other sexuality that's escaping my mind at the moment, trans lives matter, everyone matters. That's what I'm saying.
That's an empty platitude, though.
And that's how I feel. If
you
it's
believe
so empty,
all
then
lives
I'll stay
matter,
empty.
right?
What?
You believe all lives matter, right?
I believe everybody matters. I don't believe in the term all lives matter.
Yeah, but you do, because you think everybody matters. All and everybody, what's the distinction between those two words? All people versus every person.
The abuse of that term in recent years. And,
so you're giving it a political connotation.
The negative I don't care to even remotely affiliate with the negative connotation surrounding the term that has been established.
Okay, let's forget the political connotation for a second.
I'm keeping
when you
those in regard.
when you say all, meaning everyone, everybody matters.
Everybody
that would
matters.
necessarily be inclusive of trans people and everybody else, right?
Everybody matters.
Right. So then the only reason that you're making these special distinctions and categories is it's a virtue
society
signal,
does.
correct?
Is because what? I'm sorry?
It's a virtue signal.
Virtues? I don't understand what you mean by that.
It's you saying that I hold this category in this regard as being special in some way, which is why I'm singling it out.
I think newer categories, like trans was kept in the dark for longer, so it does need to be mentioned. It's more modern. Certain categories need to be mentioned more because they're more modern. Women's rights as well, because women didn't have the same rights just within the past century.
So you're virtue signaling. You think it's maximum virtue in order to identify these groups which you consider to be oppressed and then give them some type of special shout out. That is literally the definition of virtue signaling.
Fair enough. Then I do that.
So,
if that's
so,
what
so
that
you're
is.
virtue signaling. So that's meaningless to me. Virtue signaling is meaningless to me. I'm just
That's all
sticking
I'm
with
doing
what
then,
the
though.
facts of the matter are.
Okay, but the facts of the matter, that's what I'm doing, that's how I feel, and I
Yeah, that's
feel
your
that those
virtue signaling.
virtues matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a huge virtue signal. So back to the question at hand as to whether or not trans individuals, if you engage a M2F transitioner to them having sex with a fellow male, can you explain how that's not homosexual sex?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna need you to repeat that, because something semi-interesting.
If two men have sex, how are they not homosexuals?
By their own boundaries and definition, I'm guessing in that
I see.
circumstance.
So let's
I'm
assume
not a
for a
man,
second-
so I can't put myself
Got
in
it.
that
So let's
perspective.
assume for a second then that if it's based on self-ID,
Nice.
if two men are engaged in a sex act and one of them decides to change their gender in the middle of having sex, is it now a heterosexual sex act?
That's so
Meaning, let's assume one
unrealistic.
of them says I'm a woman, one says I'm a man. They're both males, but in the middle of them having sex, one says, you know what, I'm a man again. Are they homosexuals then?
If you say so.
No, I'm asking you.
It's so unrealistic that I can't
Why would that be
answer it.
unrealistic? You could just self-ID. That's what you're saying. As long as you self-ID as being this thing and your boundaries support this thing, then a person in the middle of having sex with another person, the other person could say, well, now my gender is this, and that would make them a homosexual.
I mean, I don't know. I think just people's boundaries matter, and how they identify their cards should be laid on the table beforehand. They should be transparency and boundaries matter. That's where I'm getting at. That's all it comes down to. Transparency and
Yeah, but
boundaries matter.
this doesn't
I
answer
think
to
if
the question
someone
of
was
could.
I think if someone was to say something mid-sex of that regard, it would matter what their intention is and what their relationship is. I think the way you're describing it sounds like it's of malicious intent, in which case I would think that that's malicious.
No, there's no malicious intent. They
Then
just
I
got a
mean,
feeling.
as long as they're aware, maybe they switch gender. I hear BDSM people switch. Maybe they're aware in advance that their partner switches gender. I'm not familiar with that. I haven't met anyone that like identifies as that or does that, but like if they're aware of that with each other and two consenting adults, then I don't think it matters.
Big Sass Energy donated $100. It's only gay if you continue pumping.
And in the middle of them having sex, can one of them change their race?
No, but that's definitely not the same.
Why not? Why can't they? All they have to do is decide they're a different race, right?
Race and gender identity are not the same.
Oh, wait. Now it's gender identity, not a biological reality. So if it's just a gender identity, then can you explain
it was
why
a biological reality. We've like already established it's like
if it's a biological reality and it's two people of the same sex having sex, how is it not homosexual sex then? Homo meaning same, sex meaning, sex.
I think there's
Lawyered.
a lot of identities. And
Checkmate.
I don't agree, but I just think there's a lot of different ways people nowadays identify and have their own sexuality and are not in
they identify as being black and then they identify as being white. Why are they wrong?
Going from gender to race, it's not the same.
They're both
You're
social
not
constructions, correct? Or is race
Sexual
also a biological reality?
Social. Okay. All right.
Oh, it is a social construction. So they can change their race in the middle of having sex then, right?
No, but is it a social construction? Isn't it?
I'm asking you, is it a social construction or a biological reality?
I don't know, but I
don't
know
know?
they're not the same.
Right, okay.
I know that you can do a 23andMe and see like your race and background that's in your blood.
So
and
then if it's a biological reality, if race is a biological reality and you can't change that in the middle of sex, and your sex is a biological reality which you can't change in the middle of sex, then it would have to be homosexual sex. There couldn't be anything else it could be.
I feel like people can identify as whatever they'd like, and people move
Except black to white?
People move no, because those are
Those are biological realities. Can't change those, right?
They're not just biological realities. They're like
Light that ciggy up, Andrew.
Oh my god!
Wait, but like, so for example, right? I'm straight.
Oh, we're still on this. Let's go.
If I didn't want to date a trans woman,
We just established this. I think that's your preference. You're entitled to.
Okay, but I would think it might be not straight to suck a woman's dick.
What?
Just saying. You know what I mean? Would that be... Because you said, right, because a woman could have a penis, right?
No.
Right? A woman could have a penis.
Hermaphrodites.
No.
Oh, that's a good point.
But are you saying trans women aren't women? Because you could be a trans woman but not have... Well, talking to the mic, but you could be a trans woman but not have had bottom surgery and still have your peen, right?
Yeah. Do you plan to keep it? Like,
what?
Are you keeping the peen? Like,
I
do
think
you want to
that's
live
an argument, though. Is it doesn't. The thing is, most people right now would say that it doesn't matter.
They're still a woman, right?
If they're identifying as a woman, then technically, yes, they're going to be a woman. Like for their legal sex,
right?
I don't think that they would.
You could put the number.
Oh, so wait a second. So if you gave one of these women in a dress a blowjob, you would be a lesbian.
The wrong person to ask. Sure.
That doesn't sound insane and ridiculous to you at all. Like the second you actually said the word sure, did you think to yourself, that's the dumbest thing I've ever said? I mean, honestly.
Well, for me personally, I just really don't care because me personally.
Well, I get that you don't care, but if we're talking about it, if you just basically sucked off a dude in a dress, you would actually say that that's lesbian sex?
I think I'm confused now.
I don't agree with this conversation.
Going back to the original, why he even brought that up is because he's saying people say that it's transphobic.
I think
And that's
no.
going back.
Okay,
That's,
I get
the whole.
I get where I
So
don't think.
So if a man
I think
is
people
with
are entitled to their
someone
preferences,
who is
though.
a trans woman that really is a man. So therefore, that's like the long way of round of going being homosexual, is what it is. So
I think people are entitled to their preferences.
I think honestly, everybody, like in my opinion, anybody can decide if how they feel like if that is for them queer or not.
But we're not
because-
saying preference in the sense because he's saying specifically people are being called transphobic for something.
Oh, I don't think
that
that's
they,
transphobic at all.
It's okay. That's what he's saying.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
original argument.
I think that it's
I
such a
don't think
progressive
it's-
concept that, to be quite honest, most people don't really have a solid, firm identity of how they would deal with that or what they would
I think we
label
don't
that
have.
as because
Well,
it's
no,
just so
let me give a little
convoluted.
pushback there because I do. See, I think that they would say, well, no, you're gay. That's what I think that they would say. See,
I think
think
some
they would
people-
say,
I think
if a dude was blowing another guy, I think they would say, you're gay. That's what I think would happen. I don't think there's any confusion at all, in fact. I don't think anybody's confused about this.
I think I would be interested in the take of a trans person and how they perceive that, and I can't put myself in their shoes. I can only empathize with their plights and the way they're like stigmatized in society. I can't put myself in their shoes. I can't.
Why do I need to put myself in their shoes to understand that if a dude blows another dude, they're
I don't
gay?
understand the mentality of everybody else in the world. I think
Why do I need to understand the mentality of somebody else to know that if a dude blows another dude, they're gay? Why do I need to? What mentality am I missing here?
Because
I
you're
feel
talking
like
about a
I
woman.
feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm straight.
Wait, we're
like,
talk-
is that
we're
the
talking
mentality
about-
I'm
I was done with
missing?
the sentence. I just don't wanna interrupt.
Wait, you said
I was
because
just
we're
gonna
talking
say
about a
because
woman
we're talking about somebody who's identifying as a woman,
who
and so
has a penis?
But yes, but if you're talking about everybody in the world will look at that and be like, oh, it's gay, it's not gonna be viewed like that from everybody in the world, especially a lot of people in our generation.
But is
I
it-
think that it's queer. I don't think that it's necessarily gay. I think
I-
anything involving the community is inherently queer. So you
But-
could say that it's not straight, but I wouldn't say that it's everyone's gonna say, oh, it's gay.
Is it
like-
No,
homosexual?
I think,
I think it's queer.
almost everybody's going to say that it's gay.
I'd like
In
to
fact, let me just challenge you
point
on
out.
this,
Here's
right?
one thing.
I think right now that if we went down any American street, which exists, and we were to ask people, sir or ma'am, if a man sucked off a man who was wearing a dress, would you consider them to be gay? What do you think they would say?
I think a very important point to make, and why I'm.
Now, hang on,
incap-
let her answer. What do you think they would
Wasn't
say?
this question for me? Okay.
I think that if it's a man in a dress, then it's a man in a dress. I think if it's somebody identifying as a woman in a dress, then it's somebody identifying as a woman in a dress, and those
Great.
can't
So let's
be
change
said
it
as the
then,
same
and we'll
thing.
say we go down the same street and we say, sir, there's a man who's going to suck off another man who identifies as a woman.
I think it's
Right? There's
queer.
two males, but one identifies as a woman and one's about to suck the other one off. Do you think that they're gay? What do you think they would say?
I think it's queer. I think that not everybody's going to say that's gay, so I think it falls under the umbrella of queer, and then each person is going to personally define that instance.
Well,
to be
gee, what does
honest.
queer mean? Does that
Anything
mean
under the
other than same-sex
LGBTQ
activity?
spectrum. Anything under the LGBTQ spectrum. Trans, all that is all queer.
I
It's
just-
like
Yeah, but that would mean if it's queer or LGBTQ, let me make sure I got this right. Lesbian, right? Gay. So far, am I correct so far? Bisexual, transgender,
Can I
and
say
queer. This is all this is all same-sex activity, correct?
No. Queer is an overarching umbrella that includes all of those things. It doesn't have to
Okay,
necessarily
I'm
be
so confused.
same-sex.
Lesbian would be same-sex, right? Gay would be same-sex. Bisexual is alluding to people who also have sex with the same sex. So I'm so confused by this.
Bisexual doesn't necessarily mean sex with the same sex.
Well, then I'm confused. If you only had sex with the opposite sex, how could you be bisexual?
No, bisexual is attracted to two different. So there could be bisexual people who are only attracted to like